I want to start with this.
Okay.
That was one of the best college football games I've ever seen in my life. It's in my top 5. USC, Texas. I saw an Auburn-Alabama game a couple years ago where Auburn returned a missed field goal for a touchdown. It was one of the best games I've ever seen. I saw an Ohio State-Michigan game a few years ago. It was like 10 years ago, and everybody wanted them both to play again for the national title. I've seen a lot of games in my life. That game last night at the Rose Bowl is an all-time game. And I want to say this, that we in the media, I know this morning everybody is going to say, come on, you got to put these teams in the playoff. Let's just enjoy what we saw last night. We just sat down and we ate a 3.5-hour meal, and the appetizer was perfect, and the wine was good, and the meal was amazing, and the dessert was the best we'd ever had. That was just 4 hours of unbelievable television. It had bad officiating. It had crazy coaching. It had a big lead. It had a wild comeback. It had unbelievable quarterback play. We just got to enjoy some stuff, folks. Sports doesn't get any better than that. And tip of the cap not only to USC, but to Penn State. That was 70% road game. And USC has crushed everybody for 2.5 months, and they met their match last night. And Penn State's a real football team, and they return everybody next year. Watch out for both these teams. Let me start with this. So this morning, everybody is saying, even Clay Travis, who's coming on in 30 minutes, come on, you got to have Penn State in the championship. You got to have USC. Remember, what we learned from college football this year is you can't have a terrible loss. This is what the committee told us. The committee knew USC was good. They put them way up there. The committee knew Penn State was good. They put them way up there. But Alabama didn't have a terrible loss. Clemson didn't have an ugly loss. Ohio State lost close to a good team, and Washington's ugly loss was 26-13, and they had the ball in the fourth. USC is to blame for not getting in. USC did not start Sam Darnold until week 4, and they knew he was the best quarterback. I know because I know their coaches. But they were afraid that Max Brown, if he didn't get the nod, would transfer, and they didn't have a backup to Sam Darnold. So USC didn't start the quarterback they knew was the better player. That's on USC. And Penn State didn't make it because they got humiliated by Michigan. Why? Because Michigan's a senior-dominated defense with 22 and 23-year-olds, and Penn State's a bunch of babies with freshmen and sophomore everywhere. And in September, they weren't ready to play with them. Later in the year, they would have been. They had 10, 12 games under their belt. But USC lost 52-6, and Penn State lost 49-10. What the committee said is, you can lose games. And you can even lose a game at home, Washington. But you can't be humiliated on a field or we're not going to let you in. And I know everybody gets caught up. My buddy Clay gets caught up on, what if you win your conference championship? You got to be in. I don't buy that for a second. Iowa almost got in because of the uneven schedules and uneven divisions within a conference. I mean, the SEC East is embarrassing. The SEC West is unbelievable. One side of the Big Ten Conference is unbelievable. The other side's pathetic. That you can be on a weaker side for 10 years, know that, schedule a week out of conference, and sneak your way into a conference championship. And then, if you get lucky and the starting quarterback on the other team twists an ankle, you could be a 4-loss team in the Final Four. I don't want automatic qualifiers because you win a conference championship unless we have a conference commissioner in college football which regulates it and everybody plays a reasonably close schedule, and right now that doesn't work. But what we saw last night was just great American sports by a bunch of great players and Sam Darnold and Penn State's young sophomores. Let's just own it. Let's just love it. College football is a great product. Now, it's got all sorts of issues. They need a commissioner. They need a schedule commissioner. They've got to figure out a way to get rid of this arms race and all these goofy bowls because it's not helping parity. But both Penn State and USC, don't watch that game last night and have confirmation bias. Well, see, I told you they should have been in. They were both humiliated on a football field. And we have never in my adult life, for 40 years, there has never been a national champion that lost a game by more than 13 points. Ever. You can lose. LSU lost twice one year and won the title. They were overtime losses. I believe one at home, one on the road. But Penn State, a young team, played a veteran Michigan team early and was humiliated. They had 190 yards. Michigan had 515. And USC's coaches, and I understood why they did this, they didn't start Sam Darnold early, concerned if they did, their veteran quarterback would transfer, which, by the way, he has now. Let's just enjoy what we saw last night. It was magical. It was tremendous. And both these teams will be in the top 6 next year, and maybe as they're older, they play for the national title. Let me also talk a little bit about Sam Darnold. Because he put on one of the all-time displays. I mean, it really was one of the all-time things I've ever seen. So let me tell you a story. Is that I have, for the last 20 or so years, 30 or so years, been really socially awkward. I will go to parties and talk about college football recruiting. It's the thing I love that I don't talk about. Because I know it doesn't get ratings, and I know most of you would turn off the radio. It's like I've always said, I always feel bad for guys that do what I do for a living and love hockey. Unless you work in Buffalo, you can't talk hockey. So I understand that I talk about topics that you love. I talk about the NFL, major college football, the NBA, March Madness, and occasional humor or social issues. You drive the bus, I don't. This is a grocery store. I'm not leading with anchovies. I do bread, milk, eggs every day. And that's why I talk football from August 15th to February 15th. And then I talk combine, draft, and football. And then I go into the NBA for 8 weeks. Okay, I love college football recruiting. And I've thought about buying a couple of sites more than once. I had a discussion last week. So I found out about Sam Darnold a couple years ago. And he was worked out by, I think, Clay Helton, worked him out down in Oceanside. And I have Clay on later. And so I go to a USC practice every year. First couple of weeks, I go to a practice, and I have for like 10 years. And so when Steve Sarkisian was the coach a few years ago, I go and talk to Sark in his office. And it's before the first practice. And I said, what should I look for? And he said, I want you to keep your eye on this Sam Darnold kid. This is 2 years ago. He said, I think he has a chance to be Andrew Luck good. I went, what? I said, I thought you recruited a 5-star quarterback, Ricky Town. He said, we did. And then we found Sam Darnold. So here's the true story. So I go to practice, and I watch a cone drill with Sam Darnold. Cody Kessler, now in the NFL, has started games. Max Brown, 5-star high school quarterback. Ricky Town, 5-star quarterback, number 2 in the country, and Sam Darnold. And I'm just a radio idiot. And I watched the cone drill. And they forced the quarterbacks to go back, run up around the cone, make throws. And I went up to Sark. I said, Sark, he's not only the best freshman quarterback, he's your best player out here. I said, he's kind of raw, but, and so here's what's interesting. He was so obviously talented. And again, he's got to keep his head on straight, and he's a good kid from a good family. And I think he will. He's 6'4", 225, got a little Favre, got a little... But he was so talented that Ricky Town, the 5-star number 2 quarterback in the country, after 2 practices, decided to transfer, knowing he would never play. Is that he is this is, when you watched last night in college football was really cool. It wasn't just Sam Darnold. But did you notice last night the quarterback for Penn State? USC's defense has been great for 3 months. They couldn't stop him. Did you notice Oklahoma's quarterback last night? Now, those 2 guys are smaller than Darnold and won't be the NFL prospects. But what you watched last night between that McSorley kid for Penn State and the Oklahoma quarterback is what you saw is what coaches are all looking for. It used to be you wanted everybody to stand in the pocket. But when you watched Oklahoma clobber Auburn and Penn State USC, what you watched is what every college coach is now looking for. is that kid that's got the feet and the magic and the Favre and the luck, and he's moving and he's making mistakes, and Sam Darnold can play too fast and he makes some ugly mistakes, and so did the Penn State kid, and so did the Oklahoma quarterback. They can make mistakes, but what you were watching is really the future of the quarterback position. They can throw from the pocket, but they can extend the play, and you can't defend them. And I really do think if USC and Bama or Penn State and Bama played today with these young quarterbacks, the games would be interesting. Bama would win, but the games would be interesting. And there was a moment last night, Sam Darnold, and I got to give credit to Kirk Herbstreit because he noticed it. A lot of analysts don't see this. And I love my Joel Klatt. He's my guy. But Herbstreit did point out last night, Darnold made a throw that I don't think a lot of NFL guys, and I'm dead serious here. And I watched it live, and I thought, holy hell, how'd he make that throw? Here's the play, and here it's discussed. Just roll the tape on this.
Ball at the 27 now. Arnold has a lot of time. Flies over the middle. Touchdown! Deontay Burnett with the hat trick.
This Sam Darnold is about as good a quarterback as you're going to see in college football. The kid is a freshman. He just went right down the field and ends up coming up with a big play. Watch this throw, though, Chris. Look at the safety right here. And you're going to tell me that you're going to make a throw over here with confidence? How does he make this throw with that coverage? And throws a dime right over top of the linebacker, Cam Brown, and between the safety, Marcus Allen. That is absurd.
Some people are put on this earth to do one thing. He is a born quarterback, huh?
Yeah, he really is. So is Brett Favre. And I'm not saying here's the same. But so my takeaway to start the show is today, we can say these two teams should have played here. That was we all won last night. The people in the Rose Bowl won. The television audience won. The announcers won. Guys like me won. But both those teams have nobody to blame but themselves. USC didn't start Sam Darnold for week 4, and they knew he was their best player. They knew it. And Penn State's full of young kids, and they got humiliated by a senior-dominated Michigan team. And the committee has said, we're not letting you in if you get destroyed, because in the last 40 years of college football, nobody's ever won a national title that was humiliated in any of their games during the regular season, and I'm okay with that.